Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Nurharlina Medisanusi. Today I will present about introduction our population in Sudan. Sudan, located in Northeast Africa, is one of the largest countries on the continent, covering approximately 1.89 million square kilometers. The country has a diverse landscape and a long history, but it is currently facing many economic and social challenges, especially due to ongoing internal conflicts and political instability. Sudan is a country with a large land area, a young and growing population, and significant natural resources. However, due to ongoing political unrest and economic instability, its development has been severely affected. Addressing these issues is crucial for Sudan to create better living conditions for its people and unlock its full economic potential. So next, I will explain about theory on inflation. Sudan's annual inflation rate surged to 136.67% in the first half of 2024. The State Statistics Agency report on Monday, marking the first official data release since the conflict erupted in April last year. The surge was driven by soaring food and medicine prices, as well as increases in housing rent, the agency said. January saw the highest monthly increase at 18.32%, driven by rising costs of healthcare, housing, and food. The conflict has displaced millions and disrupted Sudan's economy, causing widespread loss of livelihoods and pushing food prices out of reach of money. And increase the amount of money in circulation will directly cause a proportional increase in the price of goods and services over time. At the same time, cost-push inflation is evident, as production and transport costs have increased due to rising fuel prices. These deep-rooted economic weaknesses limit the country's ability to respond to shocks. Finally, the expectation theory shows how inflation is reinforced when business and consumers anticipate rising prices, leading them to increase prices and wages preemptively.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Nur Ain Barakis binti Muhammad Tarmizi. Today I want to briefly explain the four main type of inflation affecting Sudan in 2024. These include cost push inflation, demand pull inflation, structured inflation, and regional disparities. Okay, first, cost push inflation. Cost push inflation happens when it becomes more expensive to produce goods. In Sudan, the war has damaged infrastructure, increased transport costs, and raised fuel price. Business pass this extra cost to consumer. Also, because the Sudanese pound is weak, imports like food and medicine become even more expensive. Okay. Second, demand pull inflation. This type of inflation occurs when demand is higher than supply. Because of conflict, many people move to cities and cause a spike in demand, but supply is still low, especially for food and medicine. This mismatch increases price. Panic buying and hoarding also make it worse. Okay, third, structural inflation is long-term and caused by weak system in the economy. In Sudan, this include poor infrastructure, weak industry, and high dependence on import. Corruption and low investment in agriculture make it hard for the economy to grow steadily. Okay, lastly, regional disparities. Inflation does not affect all parties of Sudan equally. Areas with active conflict suffer more. Rural regions where most people live often have poor access to markets, transport, and services. So, even if farmers grow food, it cannot reach people in need, leading to shortage and waste.
Hi, my name is Nur Anis. I will present it to you about effect of inflation. Firstly, decreased purchasing power. Prices of basic goods like food and medicine. These have skyrocketed. Ordinary Sudan citizens cannot afford daily essentials. Wages have not kept pace with inflation, especially for public servants. For example, a bag of flour or cooking oil might cost higher than just a few years ago. Other than that, food insecurity. Sudan is already a food insecure country. Inflation has made locally grown and imported food unaffordable for most families. Moreover, collapse of services, hospitals, and schools don't have enough money to operate. Medicines and supplies are too expensive or unavailable. Teachers, nurses, and doctors often are not paid or are paid in worthless money. Last but not least, pressure on public services, education, and transport have become more expensive to provide. Government cannot maintain salaries or infrastructure, worsening service delivery. Teachers and doctors have staged strikes due to wage erosions.
Hi, my name is Nurin Irina, and now I'm going to present about how to overcome inflation by theory. So for the first point, we have demand pull inflation. So from this point, we can increase interest rates to make borrowing more expensive and reduce consumption. And then for the second one, we can raise taxes temporarily to reduce disposable income and cool demand. And for the last one, we can subsidize key imports like fuel to reduce production costs. And for the second point, we have quantity theory of money inflation. So from this point, we can implement tight monetary policy, limit money supply growth. And then for the second one, we can strengthen central bank independence. And the third one, we can use inflation targeting frameworks. And for the last one, we can use a disciplined money supply. Alright, so for the third one, we have structuralist theory. So from this point, we can invest in agriculture and industry. And then the second one, we can strengthen institutions like judiciary, central bank, and taxation systems. And the last one, we can encourage local production to reduce import dependence. And for the last point, we have expectation manage inflation expectation. Alright, so for this point, we can have a transparent communication by the government and the central bank to build trust. The second one, we can have credible anti-inflation politics ensure expectations by consistently hitting inflation targets.
Next, inflation situation. In 2024, Sudan went through a very serious inflation crisis. The main reason for this inflation was the ongoing war between the army and a powerful militia group. The fighting destroyed farms, markets, roads, and basic services. Millions of people had to flee their homes. At the same time, the Sudan pound lost much of its value, and the government kept printing more money to pay for its needs, which made inflation even worse. Floods in the summer also destroyed crops and made food even more expensive. As a result, many people could no longer afford basic items like bread, sugar, or cooking oil. Wages did not increase to match the rising prices, so people were earning the same but could buy much less. Hospitals ran out of medicines, schools closed, and many businesses stopped working. People's savings lost value, and jobs became harder to find. By the end of 2024, about 25 million people did not have enough food. The war made it very hard to aid organizations to help, and many did not have enough money or safety to operate. Over 10 million people were forced to leave their homes. In short, inflation in Sudan 2024 made life much harder for almost everyone. Lastly, about cause of inflation. Sudan's high inflation is caused by a combination of factors, including internal economic imbalance, external shocks, and political instability. Firstly, excessive money printing. The government has printed money to cover budget deficits due to falling tax revenues and rising war spending. This is because too much money chasing too few goods causes monetary inflation. Other than that, collapse of agriculture and industrial production have conflict. Displacement and fuel shortage have crippled agriculture's shortage in domestic food and goods force reliance on imports driving up costs. Last but not least, dependence on imports. Sudan imports most of its machinery, medicines, and even some food. With a devalued currency and low reserve, importing becomes unaffordable.
Alright, so now I'm going to present about table on inflation statistics of Sudan. So as you guys can see, here is the table of inflation statistics of Sudan. So from this table, the inflation trend in Sudan from 2013 to 2024 shows a sharp rise followed by brief improvement and a projected increase again. From 2013 to 2017, inflation remained high but relatively stable. Starting in 2018, it rose sharply, reaching a peak of 359.1% in 2021 due political unrest, currency devaluation, and economic mismanagement. A slight recovery occurred in 2022 and 2023, but inflation remained high. In 2024, it is expected to rise again to around 200%, reflecting ongoing instability. Overall, the trend highlights Sudan's fragile economy and the need for long-term reforms.
In conclusion, inflation in Sudan 2024, inflation remains a serious issue though slightly improved from past year. Main cause weak currency, high import dependency, political instability and poor policies. The result in a high cost of living for the people. What needs? Economic and political reform, currency stabilization and increase in local production, international support and investment. Without real change, inflation will keep hurting the people and block Sudan's development.